247.com, tune in, iTunes, and of course Radio Loyalty. A great new marketing partner with us today. Transmedia Worldwide, absolutely amazing stuff. Let's go to them. They are one of our brand new marketing partners. Digital Lizards of Doom is a fantasy adventure series inspired by role-playing, video adventure games, and Saturday morning cartoon shows. Check it out today at Indiegogo.com. Search Digital Lizards of Doom. That's INDIEGO.com. Search Digital Lizards of Doom. Give them some of your hard-earned money today. Tell them you heard about it here at Transmedia Worldwide. We go to Skype, and we go back live to Karen Kataline. She joins us today here on our big broadcast, and Karen is with us. She is a very successful talk show host. Check out KarenKataline.com. For more information, that's KarenKataline.com. And today we are talking with her about complying with tyranny on masks will bring on more tyranny. And I'll tell you, these masks, I will have to say, these things are just, well, first off, I'm starting to read reports now on the internet, and I see it whenever I walk to the gym, where they're now littering the streets. They're now more trash because people put these on and then they take them off when they leave the store and just throw them on the ground.
Do they really?
I'm seeing now that I'm seeing things on the internet about how turtles and fish and all sorts of things at these beaches are getting wrapped up in the strings from the masks.
Really?
And it's just becoming
I read a lot of news, but I did not hear that. And by the way, thank you very much for having me.
Yes.
Love talking to you, James.
I think this is a circus. What do you make of this, Karen, with all these masks and nonsense?
Well, I'll tell you what, if I had to choose a word, an idea, something that truly encapsulates, which is a pun in and of itself, what the insanity of 2020 has been thus far, it would be a mask. I mean, think about it. There's the masks of the unmasking of General Flynn and other American citizens by corrupt people in the previous administration. There's the masks of Antifa, criminals who are burning down our cities along with Black Lives Matter and others. And then there is the forced masking of law-abiding citizens. What that adds up to is a mask that has so many analytical reasons for this now. I mean, I did write this piece called it actually has is the most successful piece I've ever had on Western Journal. Last I checked, it was like 56,000 reactions to it because I think I hit a nerve. It's called Complying with Tyranny on Masks Will Bring on More Tyranny. And the psychology of these masks is what I think is really, it's a psyop. It's a symbol of obedience. It's a symbol of we don't care whether it makes sense. We don't care whether there's a huge disagreement on whether they're healthy or they're actually dangerous. We don't think they make any sense at all. Our betters haven't even come to any conclusion and contradict themselves often. It's all about obedience and shutting us down. It's like a muzzle. And it makes people angrier, more alienated from one another, able to snitch on one another, and to identify those who dissent. So it's quite a powerful message they're giving us. Shut up, do what you're told, or we're going to fine you, jail you, etc., etc. That ain't America, James.
It is Karen Kataline. She's with us today here in our broadcast, coast to coast and border to border on iHeartRadio and also AM/FM. 247.com. And Karen, these, the other day I was out, and I say this all the time when it comes to these damn masks. It's my view on this is if we're going to do this, we need to do this all the way, or we don't need to do it at all. I can't tell you how many times I go to the grocery store and you walk in and they've cleaned the shopping cart for you and they've got it ready to go and they've got the signs and they're doing the 6-foot distance stuff, and you go in and then you see a whole bunch of people that are wearing the masks, but it's down under their nose or it's on their neck, or and I'm like, guys, the part of the mask is you're supposed to wear it.
But it might as well be a blindfold for the number of people that comply with something so ridiculous and preposterous because they don't want to be given a hard time. I have a new motto. In fact, I love making up mottos. My latest one is, if you roll over now, you'll be bending over later. So say no to the masks. No, no, and hell no. Now, that doesn't mean if you have a reason to wear a mask, you want to wear a mask, wear one. But that's not what's going on here. It is a means of making submissive, turning us into serfs so that we'll all agree. Think of the collectivism of us all looking and acting alike and suddenly resembling Antifa, so you can't tell the difference between a criminal burning down your city and next door. I mean, I'm being exaggerative to make a point. Is that a word, exaggerative? I'm exaggerating to make a point. The point is collectivism versus, living your own life and being in charge of your own, in charge of your own existence.
It is Karen Kataline. She's with us today here in our broadcast, and she has a brand new article out there, Complying with Tyranny on Masks. We're bringing on more tyranny. I always love these masks, like I mentioned, going to the grocery store. I get up to the I go to Aldi, and so you get up to the cash register, and they've got their lead foot on the conveyor belt, and they're trying to get the items scanned as quickly as humanly possible. And the thing is they a lot of times will put my groceries in someone else's cart, and I'll be like, I thought we were doing the clean deal. And they're like, well, I didn't want to get up and grab another cart. And I'm like, okay, so my safety is trumped by your convenience. That's basically what it comes down to. And so I'm like, okay, at this point, they know it's BS. And I know it's BS, so why are we continuing this?
So why are they doing it? You know why they're doing it? Because they're getting bullied into it by people who can't even, in Denver, in the case of Denver, I don't know if you knew that there was a 6th annual Stand With Law Enforcement rally on Sunday afternoon in Denver across the street from the Capitol. These people went down there to honor law enforcement. They got swarmed and beat up by Antifa and Black Lives Matter activists, many of them white 20-somethings. And the police in Denver were told to stand down. They stood there and did not protect law-abiding citizens from getting beat up, bloodied, and punched. This is an outrage and a disgrace. Meanwhile, the governor, the mayor is a disgrace, but the governor of Colorado, who has demanded masks like a week ago for an entire state, which he cannot enforce and even admitted it, cannot even clean up the Capitol. The Capitol has been defaced in Denver for weeks now. They tore down a statue in front of the Capitol of an abolitionist. You gotta love it. And every day there's more and more people spray painting. The windows are boarded up. Here's a guy with no credibility, with no standing. He ought not have any standing at all. Derelict in his duty to protect the people's house of Colorado, demanding that everybody else mask up. You know, just say no. No, no, hell no. We're not going to be turned into serfs here.
Do you think that this is one of the reasons why they're speeding up the whole vaccine thing is because they're starting to lose people on these masks?
No, I don't. I don't. I think all of this is an orchestrated attack on America. And they're keeping people confused. And you know, I'm not a black helicopter person. I don't wear a tinfoil hat, as the cliche. But the fact is, all of this is working together in an attempt to impose socialism/communism on this country by force. Because the globalists who want socialism know that America stands in the way of that, as does Donald J. Trump. And by extension, you and me. We stand in the way of that. So anything that stands in the way of what they want to do by force to this country, we didn't elect any of these people. We certainly didn't vote that we suddenly want to abandon our Constitution, state and national, and suddenly go socialist. I don't recall voting on that. Do you?
No.
And so, all of those things, everything that truly, to cliche, made America great is under attack. From the family to the Christians and churches and synagogues, they're all being attacked, and criminality is being elevated or given a pass. In many cases, these politicians are inciting criminality. I mean, none of us ever thought we'd live to see such a time. And we are all being asked to stand up and to defy civil disobedience, things that we know will bring about socialism in this country. We're talking about being nonviolent at this point. We're talking about nonviolent resistance to unjust laws that can't possibly either be enforced or are not just in a free America. They've got one more point, and I'm sorry I'm so verbose.
No. You're good. You're good.
I'm a talk show host, James. What can I do? The governor, I don't know about, and I know Kansas is quite different, but the governor of Colorado has continually extended a 30-day emergency order. He's basically awarded himself emergency powers so he can continue to shut down this economy in the state, but also to shut down citizens and their rights. And isn't that interesting that he can continue? All he has to do is declare a state of emergency because of a virus that's 0.2% fatal to a country. In many cases, it's 0.002%. People know it, and yet they're complying like they're slaves instead of citizens. This is an outrage. People got to stand up. And if they can do it in Kansas, of all places, they're doing it everywhere. And those terrible riots, they'll come to places in your neighborhood if you don't stop them. And you got to stop them.
Well, one of the things that we've got Karen Kataline with us today. One of the things that I like about this this whole thing with these masks and all this nonsense is that it really exposes the fact that people just really are clueless, and there are a lot of people that you just can't reach with the masks. Like, there's people that'll go into places and they'll be like, well, in order for you to sit in the waiting room, you have to have a mask on. So they give them a mask. Then they go over and they sit in the waiting room and they don't put the mask on. And I'm like, okay, there are people regardless of if the mask thing works or if it doesn't work, you're just not going to reach. And I think that's the problem that people are starting to have with this stuff, is that you've got the various people like you and me and others that are, I'm not wearing the mask because of, all the nonsense. But then you have the lesser part of society that they're just too damn stupid to wear the mask. So they got to come up with something else.
You know what, James? It really, the presidency of Donald Trump, the administration, whatever, from the moment he made it into the Oval Office, he's been the exposer in chief. Not him. He's not exposing. He's been the same guy. But he's exposed the lying politicians, the deep state, the ignorance in this country, the indoctrination of leftism into the young under our noses without doing much about it. And what it's exposed is that we've enjoyed so much liberty in this country, or we've enjoyed liberty, but we didn't enjoy or appreciate or understand how that liberty came to be in such a great country and personal responsibility that goes along with it. So if people don't know, look at the useful idiots. Even the rioters and the criminals being let out of jail just in time, James, to riot and loot in the streets. You think they are rioting over George Floyd? No, they're not. They're doing what they do. They've been let out of prison. They have committed crimes and are now being let out of prison. And people wonder whose side these leftist politicians are on. I mean, really, what does it take? And yet, there's still people that are watching CNN and who are dutifully wearing their masks because they're terrified to go outside. And who was it who said we're going to show them the rope to hang themselves with?
Well, my favorite are the people that that drive around in their cars with the windows up with the masks on. That is so ridiculous.
They are ridiculous. It's like painting something on the back of their shirt that says "kick me," and they don't know, right? They just don't know. And so my theory is every single one of your listeners who are smart enough to listen to you need to be leaders in their own sphere of influence. If it takes gentleness, then be gentle. If it takes firmness, be firm. But organize people into defying this tyranny. Because if we don't defy this tyranny, we're going to see what even worse tyranny looks like. I don't want to see it. I know you don't want to see it either.
It's Karen Kataline. She joins us today here in our broadcast. And Karen, before we let you go, my friend, how do we find you online? Get your stuff, get involved with you, all that.
Thank you. Just go to my website, KarenKataline.com. I know my first name is now a punchline. Karen, spelled the normal way, and Kataline, spelled Kataline. You'll find more about me than you ever want to know. I write a lot of stuff. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook. And join me tomorrow for Spouting Off, 2 p.m. Eastern, noon Mountain. I don't know if you're in the Mountain time zone, but it's live call-in talk radio, and I would love to hear from callers. I love taking phone calls. So.
Well, good stuff. Well, Karen, thanks for